Now, we are still adding up the damage left behind from the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. Billions of dollars in equipment simply left behind after 20 years funding Afghan security forces, now in the hands of the Taliban. Joining us now is the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great to be here.
Well, first, Adam, let's give our viewers kind of like the big picture here, because this issue, it spans, we're talking several administrations. We're talking since 2001. How much money has been spent on training, equipment for Afghan security forces? And then if you could break down just this year for us.
Well, over the course of the past 20 years, the American people were very generous with Afghan national security forces and their military. Our auditors at OpenTheBooks.com, we found $82.9 billion of U.S. military gear and training were provided to Afghanistan forces. Now, the Biden administration didn't foresee the collapse of Afghanistan into the Taliban control, because we found that in the president's budget to Congress in 2022, that's this year's budget, initially they had earmarked an additional $3 billion for U.S. military aid.
Now, let's talk about that nearly $83 billion over, 20 years here? That's a lot of equipment. That's a lot of training. Where is that equipment now that we've left and after this botched withdrawal?
Well, after the Taliban overran Afghanistan, they control all of it that was left behind. So, Angela, let's break down some of these numbers. Over the course of 20 years, we provided 650,000 weapons into Afghanistan. That's 350,000 rifles, M4s and M16 rifles. It is 65,000 machine guns, 25,000 grenade launchers, 2,500 howitzers and mortars. Howitzer is a modern-day cannon. We actually provided into Afghanistan 75,000 military vehicles. And if you break that number down, it's 50,000 light and medium tactical vehicles. It's 22,000 Humvees. Each Humvee costs the American taxpayer, on average, $92,000. We even provided 1,000 armored and mine-resistant vehicles into Afghanistan.
You know, Adam, I mean, the money is just one component of this, but you're also going to wonder if they are, and I'm sure they are, using this equipment. I mean, how could this equipment be used possibly, against us or even some of our allies?
Well, we turned the Taliban into a major U.S. arms dealer for the next decade. And Angela, if we ever go back into Afghanistan, the recent analysis shows that we have lost the nighttime advantage. We left behind 16,000 pieces of night vision and thermal imaging equipment. So if we ever go back into Afghanistan, it's going to take its toll on our military, our human lives, and our national treasure.
Going forward, you would ask, what should happen in terms of, there's so much money here that's on the table. We're talking $83 billion over so many years. Should there be an audit? Should there be some sort of an investigation into the money that's being spent, whether it's in Afghanistan in the past or going forward? What do you think should happen?
Well, there needs to be a waste czar at the White House. Just recently, right here in November, the Taliban on the streets of the capital city of Kabul held a military parade. In the skies were our aircraft and helicopters. On the streets were our armored vehicles, and their soldiers marching in the parade were carrying our rifles. But we're not going to get that from the Biden administration. And here's how we know this. On the national desk, with our auditors at OpenTheBooks.com, we broke this story, and it was international news. And what happened? The Biden administration issued a directive to the federal agencies to erase from the internet the federal audit reports of this military gear that we had premised the reporting on. So the Biden administration, they didn't want anything to get in front of their narrative that this was the most successful withdrawal of a military force in all of human history. But Angela, the Bible has a phrase that the truth will set you free. It doesn't say the narrative will set you free. And together, we used hard data and government audit reports to hold the Biden administration accountable.
Well, I think some of the video and just the images that we saw from Afghanistan kind of contradicts that sort of a narrative. But what do you think? I mean, you talk about, the problems what we've done in the past. What about moving forward in terms of, spending money in Afghanistan? You mentioned money in the budget already for 2022. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we were promised a peace dividend when we exited Afghanistan that would free up billions of dollars that we could cut the military budget, a peace dividend. But what happened? 1 week ago, the Democratic-controlled Congress, signed by the president, the military budget is now $30 billion more than what it was in the last year of the Trump administration. So there's been no peace dividend. They're actually spending more at the Department of Defense.
You know, you kind of alluded to something just regarding transparency and something you said a few seconds ago. As Americans, what should we demand in terms of transparency when it comes to this money?
Well, that's a very clear answer. Every dime online in real time. And Angela, it's constitutional. In Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution, it states that a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. And today, it's the internet age. There's a clear interpretation. Post every dime online in real time. Open the books.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam Andrzejewski, for joining us. And take care of yourself.